He said, yes. He said, we're doing okay. We're getting married. Okay? Marry me Tuesday. He's going to marry her Saturday. Okay?
Friends, this is the case of Chad Fontenot, who is accused in the death of his wife-to-be, Kim, and her friend, Wendell Nichols. In this video, I have Chad's interview, then I have the video of his other wife-to-be, Janice. Yes, he was going to marry 2 women in the same week. Then I have the interview of Wendell's girlfriend, Sherry. I know it's confusing, but trust me, the story is quite compelling.
Myself, but I'm investigator Bernard, okay? I just want to give you a heads up. I know you've been waiting for a long time in the back of the car, but I just want to give you a heads up what we're going to do, so it's just going to be a little bit longer, okay? We're going to collect your clothes, and we're going to come and get crime scene to come in here and do all that for you, okay? You got plenty of water? Need anything else?
I'd like to have a smoke somewhere.
Unfortunately, I can't do that in here. I wouldn't mind, but if I had the means to do that, I wouldn't mind at all. I can't in here. It's no smoke inside the building.
Okay.
Okay? You need anything else? Okay, so just, if you don't mind, sit and wait. That's all it is at this point, okay?
Yeah, I'm not going to make any statements until I get a lawyer.
That's fine. I understand that, and that's why I just want to tell you what.
I mean, I'm going to cooperate with you guys,
Okay.
but I want representation.
That's completely fair. But I just wanted you to know why you're sitting here for a long time. That's why you're sitting here for a long time. We're just waiting for people to come in here, okay? All right?
Well, how much is a long time?
Well, I gotta wait for crime scene to get here and for them to do their thing. It's a process, unfortunately, okay? But it'll be all right.
That's the end of Chad's interview. It ended early because he wanted a lawyer. Now we're going to go on to Janice's interview, who's going to tell you everything that happened. As you're watching this, tell me, do you feel sorry for him?
You probably know Chad better than anybody, so just kind of give me a little background with him, how long you guys dated, just so I can just to know who he is, because I did not have the opportunity to really talk to him last night.
Okay. I have known Chad for 18 years.
Okay.
We dated. That's when I first met him, we were dating, and then I was in nursing school and he was working. We kind of went our separate ways. My career path took care of everything. And he was married for 10 years. And when he was going through some problems, like, Chad reached out to me when his mother died. He called me. His dad had a heart attack. He called me. But
was he still married at the time?
He was, and I told him at that, he just called as a friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he came over to visit me. He is an alcoholic, and he was in AA at the time. Came over and was telling me that he was in AA.
Can you give me like a time frame?
It would have been about, at that time, probably about 2009.
Okay.
Okay.
So he reveals to you that he's an alcoholic and currently in AA treatment.
Right.
Okay.
And so just, again, talking to me as a friend, and then asked, like 6 months later, asked me out, and I said, aren't you still married? He said, we're separated. And I said, nope, can't do it. Then he filed for divorce and asked me out again, and we started dating in November of 2010.
Okay.
Okay. Chad did very well with his drinking. And then at one point in time in 2012, he just literally got very, very depressed.
Okay.
Was in a hotel room and with ideations, was calling people at work. His boss called Escambia County Sheriff's Department. They came out to the hotel. They Baker acted Chad. And he was in lockup at West Florida for like 3 days.
Okay.
2013, he did okay for a while there. He was just going back and forth with the... And in 2013, he got really bad with his drinking. He was on the phone with his father. And I was trying to talk was trying to talk Chad into going into a rehab. His father did tell him, son, you need to get help. And he went into the friary. During all of this time, Amber, Chad was not a violent person. No, I mean, of course we argued.
Right.
He's an alcoholic. He would miss work. And that's the most that we argued about. Him getting drunk and falling down.
Mm-hmm.
Me being afraid that he's going to truly hurt himself. He
Mm-hmm.
fractured a couple of ribs. But never once was there any violence in any of this relationship.
He never physically touched you or
never,
anything like that.
Never.
And what was the total time period y'all actually dated?
We just literally, the last time I saw him in a relationship situation was September the 30th this year.
Oh, okay.
So we were together for 5 years.
Okay.
This time.
Recent, very recent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and even at that time, I went into the Friary 2013,
Mm-hmm.
got out, did good for about 6 months with holding the drinking and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of his sponsors committed suicide in 2014.
Oh, wow.
The day that she called him, and I'm telling you this just to give you,
background.
Right. It was a 4th of July celebration. I went over to Chad was supposed to come with me, but he told me that he and Kat were going to do a big book study.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. I said, call me later if you want to come over and eat. Well, then I got a phone call from a friend of ours, and they said, Janice, when you get home, you're going to see the truck's in the driveway, the truck's not home, or the truck's not there, but Chad is. I took him home. He's drunk.
Okay.
So that day it ensued. That was on a Friday or a Saturday, but he started binge drinking again. Kat had tried calling him.
Kat's the sponsor?
Kat's the sponsor. Sunday, after a women's meeting or women's group thing, she hung herself.
Oh, wow.
They called Chad. Chad called me. I was at work. Chad called me about 6 o'clock that night, told me that Kat had hung herself. When Chad started drinking, he knew that, he went over to a friend's house, stayed the night over there. And Chad is, when it gets rough, he leaves.
Yeah.
He leaves. And that's what I don't, people are saying that he's controlling. That's not him.
Mm-hmm.
So every time he would get in a situation where he was drinking and it was getting heavy, he would go. He'd
Mm-hmm.
call one buddy or another. That kind of thing. Thank you. And so he came back. I mean, he called me and came back. He had another guy there, a guy there with him at the house. And he was telling me, when I walked in, he blaming himself. I should have been there for her. I could have saved her. I said, Chad, you're talking about a woman that's 3 attempts. She succeeded the 3rd time.
Yeah.
And I said, Kat had a lot of problems. And I said, that's just something that, you could not have dealt with.
Right.
Okay, so all of that, Chad just could not pick himself up, very depressed. Mm-hmm. Still, again, no violence in this whole situation. Then he got to drinking so heavy in November. He quit his job a year ago, November. Mm-hmm. He quit his job, said he needed to move to Louisiana. His buddy from work called me, asked where he was. I told him what was going on. I said, I don't know, let me go see. And Chad is, again, he's drinking. He gets gets away from people. He's in the shed, in our backyard. And he's on the phone. And there, he bought a cot and was spending the night out there, because he's not that person
Mm-hmm.
that had that gun in his hand.
Right.
But, so anyways, he took off for, I talked to him and he was telling me he was moving to Louisiana, and then he sobered up and came back and he told me that, Janice, I want to stay. And I said, Chad, you've been talking about going to Louisiana for a while. You don't have a job here. I said, take this time, go figure it out,
mm-hmm.
go back to your family, see if it's something that can help you stay sober.
Right.
So he went, lived with his dad for a while, worked with a cousin of his for a while, and that cousin had just lost his wife. There was a little bit of, I'd be on the phone with the cousin, and the cousin was always, or I'll be on the phone with Chad. The cousin's always in the background, just kind of like dogging Chad, making fun of him all the time. And Chad said, I got to get out of this situation. So he did, went and moved in with his father, was with his father, got a job, started working, then started drinking again. And his dad said, you got to go, moved in with his brother. Chad kept going back to the bottle. Toby has 2 children. He's, telling them, you can't stay up in here with my kids like this. So Chad ended up moving to North Carolina. This was around April. In the meantime, and then he was coming back and forth to Pensacola to see me this whole time. Even then, no friction, no fighting. He would come in, get a little bit of tools that he needed for a job, and we were looking at me transferring with my company if he could figure out where he wanted to be and if it's the environment that he felt safe in and was able to quit drinking. So he ended up moving to North Carolina to look for a job there. Was there for a couple of weeks, was staying with a friend, and he was on the phone with me telling me that, he said, Janice, he said, when I moved up here, I did not realize that this person had such psych issues. He goes, it's not where I need to be. Come home, Chad. So he came home.
When was that?
In April.
Same.
And he came home in April. And because he was just up there just a couple of weeks and came home. Came home in April, and we had talked about it, and he was just going to do some side work. And then start doing AA. And that's what, he was reaching out to sponsors and watching his drinking. And then he went to a couple of different meetings, and something that was said about Kat set him off. And he said, I'm not going to go back there anymore. Because, this, he said they don't care. They, this is supposed to be a group of people that get together for each other. And they were in there talking bad about Kat. And what she wanted to push for AA. So it really upset him.
Yeah.
So he didn't go through that anymore. And then a friend of his was helping him work and everything. And then in the meantime, Chad is just literally becoming more and more introverted, not talking and doing nothing. He would, be at the house, cook and everything else. But to get him to have a conversation, I would just have to literally drag it out and, talk to him. And it was just very depressed state. Just never smiling and almost flat affect at times.
Okay, so she's saying he's an alcoholic. He cannot seem to get his life together, even though he's trying. It's pretty clear she loves him very dearly. Her tone, her cadence, the way she's speaking, the movement of my head. She loved him very, very dearly. However, do you think she's telling the truth? Or do you think she's blinded by her love for him? Because he did murder 2 people, the details of which are going to come. So what do you think so far?
But then he ended up getting a job with somebody, with Flora Daniel. At this point in time, right, I was also talking, he's, after, he was drinking a little bit more and more and more every time. I told him if he didn't find an AA group to go into, I said, Chad, we're not going to make it if you can't do this. A friend of him was offered to move to Baker. Chad was going to move to Baker, stay up there for a while, get away from the drinking again, drive back and forth to this job at Flora, with Flora. He decided, and I kept talking to him about it. We went up, looked at it. We're going to get everything taken care of in this trailer for him to move in. And then he came back and he said, after he was working for a little while, he said, I'm not doing that. He goes, I'm moving out. I can't continue to hurt you this way. So he called his buddy, one of the guys that he always runs to, called him and he said, yeah, sure, come on, move in. He moved in. Chad and I still seeing each other, coming over, cooking. We get together on the weekends, come over. And then he came over and spent the night September the 30th, and then the next night he was just drunk. And he walked into the house and was just very manic. And if, in all honesty, after Chad got out of the friary, he was seeing somebody, and I'm not sure. I mean, he didn't want to continue with psych counseling with counseling, but he was seeing a primary care physician that had him on Buspar, and that was working very well for Chad. Okay. That's after the friary and that 6 months, and that held him, and then he just wasn't taking the medication, and it started switching back and forth. So then, like I said, that day Chad was very drunk. He had brought a whole bunch of stuff back into the house. I tried calling him Friday. He wouldn't answer the phone. I couldn't reach him. I couldn't text him. He would not answer the phone. Saturday, I couldn't do it.
This past Friday, Saturday?
No, this is the end of September. Okay. So then that's the end of September, and then I did end up talking to him for a little bit. He's talking to me, telling me, on a Sunday and every day, every morning he was talking to me, texting me, talking to me, texting to me, and just telling me, he said, I can't control my drinking, and I can't keep making you this miserable. He said, I need to leave you because I keep hurting you. And he goes, I don't know what to do. And, we're trying to make this thing work out. And then he met Kim.
When did he meet Kim?
He met Kim in October. It might have been, he called me on the 19th to tell me that he lost his job as Florella, and he'd been seeing her, just say around the 12th or 13th.
Okay.
And then now this is something that, friends, the guy that he was staying with would telling me that Kim would come over, like she is a very severe alcoholic also. Apparently she was in an accident with an 18-wheeler is the story that she was telling everybody. And so she's on pain medication, and she pops pills and drinks, and Chad was texting me, telling me that he met his match, that, this girl can drink him under the table. She doesn't slow down. He's saying, Janice, I can't get any rest. I don't sleep anymore. She goes. It's drinking. And he came over to start moving some stuff out of the house. One day I didn't really talk to him. And that day I was truly being that person that was trying to push him. And he did not react at all. Very calm. I mean, he's talking to me on the porch. Do you mind if I come in for a minute? I want to look for my knife, my dad's knife. So he's getting stuff out. And no matter what I would say, it was just, he would just take a second, and that was it. And he was fine. And then December the 1st, in the interim, he's texting me, telling me that, just how she won't leave me alone. One of the guy that he was living with told me that he tried to leave her a couple of times. She'd come over like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, banging on the windows, beating on the side of the trailer. He had to go out and tell her to leave. The guy that he was living with, got what Chad considered just a little too harsh with her. So he says, man, you ain't got to be mean about it. He says, just, I'll get her to leave. But this was a continuing thing. Whenever Chad would leave, she would chase him into the bars, into the trailers, just no matter what. Okay. Okay, some water. December 1st, he came over. He walked up to my yard. The first time that he came over, he was, I asked him to come over, see if he could come over. He said, was trying to set up a time to when he could come over. He said, we just got in from Birmingham. I said, is everything okay? And he said, yeah. He said, when he came over to me, he said that they had to take her daughter up there. They drove over there, straight back. And he's like, and then she's up and drinking again. He goes, no sleep, Janice. He goes, I can't do this. But he came over, did all that, got the stuff out. December the 1st, he came over, he got out of his truck. And when I looked at him, I said, Chad, I said, man, what is going on with you? You look like shit. He goes, I am so exhausted. He says, Janice, I never sleep anymore. He said, she's on me like this all the time. He said, I can't get away from her. He says, I sleep in the woods for her not to be able to find me. And we talked for 3 hours. And Amber, you can search the records on his phone. And I can bring you in a printout of mine. In that time, we were talking, and he was asking if there's a way that we could get back together. And I told him what it would take.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I'm going to move back in with Steve. He said, and I said, Chad, we really need to talk. We need to get you some help.
Yeah.
You need to get out of this situation with her. And just the things that he was telling me about how she would just constantly, she's on him and fighting and controlling him. Chad didn't have a job, didn't have a vehicle, didn't have any money. Okay? She had all the control in the relationship. When you would try to call him, she would answer his phone. She would tell him he called me, you have to quit texting me. Kim's getting upset and crying. He said, you can't do that. I said, I'm not doing anything trying to talk to you. She doesn't like it. You got to quit. I hear her in the background just yelling at him and crying and yelling and screaming. And he's real calm with me. Well, when he came over that day, he was telling me that Kim put him on Prozac. Chad exhibits, that's what I did.
Yeah.
Chad exhibits symptoms of bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
Bipolar people, you don't use antidepressants to control them. It's very dangerous. And I said, Chad, you've lived with a nurse for 5 years. We got you help. You were on Buspar. It was working for you. You went to a doctor. You were doing fine. How often are you taking this and when? He said, whenever she gives it to me. And I said, whenever she gives it to you, yeah. And I'm like, Chad, I said, what is going on with you? I don't get it. He goes, Janice, I can't think. I asked him if he did a couple different things. He says, I haven't had time to sit down. I can't even look for a job. Janice, he said, I'm going to tell you that the first time in my life, I understand what you and my ex-wife, and he's been married twice. He said, both my ex-wives told me that an alcoholic, not only will they kill themselves, they'll kill you in the process.
So it seemed like him and Kim just never had a really good relationship. That's been the consensus, that they just always argue and bicker. And
yeah, but there again, for him, the thing that I don't understand is Chad always walked away. Always walked away. What
did he tell me about the night that last night?
Okay.
What would you?
He had been, okay, so we were going to get together and everything. Kim ended up, because Chad and I were engaged, we're going to get together, we're going to work things out, do everything. He said he's going to go to Steve's, call me, and he didn't.
What time was that?
No, this is not last night.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to tell you one more thing, and then I will. And then that was on a Tuesday, December the 1st, Saturday. I texted him and I said, okay, apparently let me tell you, this is why I needed to tell you this. When he walked out the door, I said, call me as soon as you get to Steve's. He turns around, he looks at me, and he goes, Janice, I'm so afraid if I leave Kim, she will commit suicide. And I said, Chad, and he goes, do you know why? I said, yes, because you did not save Kat and you're trying to redeem yourself. But this is a psychotic relationship. The whole time that, the last 30 minutes that he was there, 15 minutes of it was nothing but her calling his phone, my phone, his phone, my phone. He would pick up, call it, talk to her. Very calm. Kim, calm down. I'm leaving. Okay, I'm coming. Hang up. She calls again, calls again, calls again. Honest to God, look at the records. This is how she dealt with him.
Right.
Push, 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 push. And the man I've never seen him. I'm used to looking at him in an alcoholic situation with the alcoholic face. So anyways, that Saturday night, he texted me. He said, I asked him it looks like the whole plan's not going together. Are you going to come get your stuff? He said, yes. He said, we're doing okay. We're getting married. Okay. Mm-hmm. Marry me Tuesday. He's going to marry her Saturday. Okay. But I said, okay. I said, it would be best that you go ahead and get a movie man, come get all your stuff. Once your stuff's out of out of the house, I have no other reason to contact you. I said, I'm not here to break you and Kim up. All I want you is safe and happy to Chad. And if you can honestly tell me that you're safe, I said, I'm happy for you. Well, so that went on. And then I had texted him. I actually texted him that morning. Sorry, I haven't slept, so I'm not. Okay. I texted him that morning at 3:23 because his brother had called me.
Yesterday morning?
Yeah,
okay.
I texted him, and I said, "Are you alive?" I just had this sinking sensation. His brother called me from Louisiana the Tuesday before. Janice, I can't get in touch with Chad. Emily couldn't. His daughter could not get in touch with him. He hadn't talked. I said, "Have you talked to Emily?" "No, I can't."
Okay.
"You can't?" I said, "Chad, you're a grown man. You can call and talk to whoever you want." He goes, "You just don't understand. You don't understand."
So I was at 3 a.m.
But this was during that conversation, December 1st. Sorry, but at 3 a.m, at 3:23, I just texted him and I said, "Are you alive?" No response, nothing whatsoever. So 8:15, I'm out with some friends. Hit the phone
at 8:15 at night.
8:15 last night. I'm out with some friends, and I didn't answer the phone because I thought I'm not going to be dragged back into this situation. He needs to fix it, decide what he wants to do with Kim.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't answer the phone. And then I got to where I listened to the thing, and I thought he said, "I'm returning your call."
So he left you a message?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that message still?
Yeah, I thought I had erased it, but I didn't.
Okay.
So, I got in my car and was listening to it. I called a couple of his friends, and I'm like, hey, have you guys heard from Chad? I said, he left me a voicemail. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if this is the Chad I know.
Mm-hmm.
He could not live with the guilt of what he did. So the next thing that he would do is to take the gun to himself. Okay? And that, Amber, as sick as it sounds, that would make sense to me. But here we're dealing with the man that's not even his own self,
right.
Drinking constantly, not sleeping, doing Prozac, which his mother was on Prozac, and Chad's whole child situation just really was a bad situation.
Sometimes when people get in that
cycle, yeah, it's like an abusive cycle, and you need to stay in it to build.
It sounds like it was different for him, and usually it's the men that are more aggressive, and in this situation sounds like they just had an awful relationship.
They really did. And then, so anyway, I'm looking for him, and then I'm like calling. I finally woke up a friend of his. I said, "Where do they live?" The night before that, me and my girlfriend, we were talking. I said, "I've got to get him. I need to get a hold of him. I need to get him out." Toby his brother was going to come from Louisiana. He said, "I don't care." And you have to understand when you're talking about siblings, this is not okay.
Right.
This is brother talking about brother. If I have to beat him till he's almost not breathing, I'm dragging him back to Louisiana. We're getting him in rehab.
Right.
Okay. So, and so that was Toby trying, and Janice, please find out where they live. Janice, please give me his number. Janice, find me as much information. I need to get my brother out of that. I need to get him. And so I was telling my girlfriend that we're trying to do reverse phone numbers, trying to, link addresses and this, that, and the other. And then apparently that Saturday night, Kim, what is today? Monday. Okay. Kim posted a picture of them in the bar, and I'm going to tell you that picture that I'm looking at, Chad. You've seen people that are wired on something. Look at
Kim has a Facebook, you said?
Yeah, Kim has a Facebook.
Is it under Kim Boswell?
I actually have the picture.
Okay.
Do you need?
I just want to look at it.
Okay, I don't. It's just just the look in his face. With that, my girlfriend, and one thing you have to understand, my family's here. Everybody loves Chad.
Mm-hmm.
His daughter loved me. My friends loved him. And they were all concerned about it.
Mm-hmm.
But she tagged me, or Kim, because Chad and Stacy are still Facebook, and I'm not a Facebook person. So when Kim tagged Chad, it came to Stacy, and it's not the best lighting. But when you look at it, it's just, you can see the dark the circles under his eyes, but he looks like he's wired on something. So, anyways, my girlfriend Stacy was finding out information and finding her name, and then she's looking her up and she's telling me, I said, she's trying to help me get find it. I said, I've got to go find him, or I said, I got to find out what's going on. And I go down the road, and as I'm talking to everybody, I hear all the sirens going back there. So I'm just driving down Jack's Branch Road until I see, if he did something, I said, then I'm gonna follow the sirens, and then I did, and there you guys are.
And you said he left you a message last night?
Yeah.
If it comes out okay, if it's okay, can I record it on my recorder?
Let me just...
So that's the end of Janice's interview. We now come on to Sherry. Sherry is the girlfriend of Wendell, who was the other victim. She's now going to tell you exactly what happened, but she's going to give you a lot of details that Janice left out. So far, we have this image of Chad, of a guy who could not get over his addictions, which is a serious problem. It's not something that should be ridiculed, but she's now going to provide further context how Chad wasn't so rosy as Janice claims.
Okay. And it's from my understanding that Wendell was your boyfriend?
Yes.
How long have you been dating Wendell?
2 weeks.
Okay.
But I've known him for about 10 years.
Okay. And how do you know?
Maybe a little bit less. We met in 2007, I think it's when we met.
Okay. And how long have you known Kim?
About 2 weeks, or maybe 3. I just met her through Wendell.
Okay.
They grew up together, or they've known each other forever.
Okay. Well, did Wendell stay there?
Yes. Temporarily, he was in a motorcycle accident the week of Thanksgiving, and he got hurt really bad. And him and Kim have been friends forever, so they had him come stay there so that she could help take care of him because his back was hurting his head and he couldn't move around, he couldn't work. So he was staying there temporarily until he got on his feet.
So he's not been staying there very long. Okay.
Just since the accident, which was the week of Thanksgiving, I believe it was. No, Veterans Day. It was on Veterans Day.
Okay. Now, how do you know Chad?
I met him through Kim.
So would you say you known him about 2 weeks also?
I met him about a week and a half ago after I had already met Kim, and I didn't care much for him, so I didn't really associate much with him.
What's their relationship?
Him and Kim were dating, but they fight all the time, and he's very aggressive and controlling, which is why I don't like him. So,
what do they fight about?
Stupid stuff. Her going to the bar, like Friday night. She went up to this place called Mustangs, and this woman named Joanne, I don't know her last name, was trying to tell Chad that Kim had men hanging all over her, and she was hanging all over them. The normal bar stuff. And then last night, we all went to Chasers. We had such a good time. They were getting along and everything. And his ex came in, and she sat down at the table right behind me.
Do you know who the ex is?
Her name is Janice. I do not know her last name.
Okay. So she sits down to the table
She
next to you.
sat down at the table behind me, and Kim got upset because she was there. And Chad got upset because I guess Kim got upset, and they left shortly after.
Okay.
We stayed behind, and we went to breakfast with Wolf and Rachel at Waffle House. I think we left there about 2:30 or something like that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
And we went and got our truck from Wolf and Rachel's, and we went back to Kim's, and Wendell and I went to bed.
What time was that?
I think we left Waffle House about 2:30. It was probably about 3:30.
Okay. And you went back to Kim's house?
Yes.
And who was all there?
Chad was asleep. Ashley was asleep in her bed. That's Kim's pregnant daughter.
Okay.
She's supposed to have her baby Tuesday, and Wendell's supposed to be her coach.
Okay.
I hate Chad. I'm sorry.
I know.
Passion.
Completely understand.
So anyway, Chad and Ashley were asleep. Kim was up because she had said she had done something to her arm. I don't know if he did it or she actually did something to her arm. But she showed me her arm and it was all swollen up. She said, I'm going to go to the emergency room. I need to move your truck. So I gave her my keys. She moved my truck to the grass. We went on back to bed. I don't know if she ever went to ER or not. We were tired.
Okay.
So we went to bed. I don't know if she ever made it to ER or not. When we got up this morning, her truck was in the driveway. So
what time did you get up this morning?
it was about 9 o'clock.
Okay. And then what vehicle is hers?
She has a silver looking truck.
Okay.
And Ashley has the little gold car.
Okay.
And,
so you left at 9 o'clock this morning by yourself?
No, I got up and had coffee. Wendell made me coffee like he always does. And we hung out for a little while and he smoked a cigarette and we just chit-chatted. And about 10:30, I left to go home and we texted off and on during the day. And then he sent me a text. He said, I wished I wasn't staying here anymore. I'm so tired of listening to them fight.
What
They
time
were
was
fighting. It was 4 something.
Okay.
Around 4:30, I think. And we texted off and on after that. And he said he wasn't feeling well. His head was hurting. He had taken something for it. And he was sitting in the recliner. And I said, we talked a little bit more. I said, I'll call you at 8 like I always do. Because I normally get up at 3 to go to work. So I call him before I go to bed. So when I called him at 8.
I'll call him at 8 o'clock on the dot.
It was 8 o'clock. I looked at my phone. I've got it right here if you see it. We talked for 7 minutes and 39 seconds.
Okay.
We were talking about our plans for the weekend. We were talking about movies, just chit-chat, normal chit-chat. And I said, well, I'm going to be going to bed soon. And I said, I love you. I'd do anything in the world for you. I said, if I need to take you to ER tomorrow, I will, because he's having complications because of the accident. I said, I'll take you to ER. And he said, okay, baby, you can pick me up after work. And I said, I love you. And he said, I love you too. And then all of a sudden I heard a loud bang noise and a woman scream. And then everything went dead. And I was screaming his name. He wouldn't answer. So I hung up. I kept calling his phone and calling his phone. Nobody would answer. So I texted him. No response. So I called Kim's phone. No response. I texted him. No response. Or texted her. I'm sorry. So I called Wolf because I live here and Wolf and Rachel live not too far from
That's your
them.
daughter, right?
Yes. Rachel's my daughter. Wolf is my friend and they're married.
Okay.
But Wolf has known Wendell longer than me. He's known him. I think they went to school together since like 7th grade. So anyway, I said, Wolf, something's wrong with Wendell. I'm worried that something has happened to him, because he's been having complications. I said, can you try to call him and see if he'll answer or go by there and check on him? Because he's not answering and I'm worried. And a little while later, Rachel called and said that her and Wolf were at the house and it was all roped off and there was cops and everything. And some other bystander told him that 2 people were dead in the house, but they didn't know who or any details. And then we talked back and forth a few and then I talked to you.
Okay, but you were on the phone with him and you said you called him right at 8. And it was a 7 minute and
7 minutes and 39 seconds. I looked at my phone.
And you guys are starting to say your goodbyes, say I love you, and all of a sudden you hear a loud bang and
A loud
female
bang.
scream.
And then a scream.
That's all that you ever heard. Did the phone stay open, like on an open line or anything? Could you hear anything else?
Not after the bang and the screaming. I hung up and was trying to call back and nobody would call. But I have seen Chad get aggressive with Kim. I've heard them argue and fight. They do it all the time. He's very jealous. He's very possessive and he's very controlling. Okay. Why he would shoot Wendell, I don't know. Unless Wendell was trying to defend himself or defend Kim, I don't know. Because I'm not in Chad's head. I don't know.
But you know that Kim and Chad have a really bad relationship.
They fight all the time. And Chad is very aggressive. Now, I've never, ever seen him get into it with Wendell. As the only thing I've ever seen is them getting along just fine. So I don't know where that came from. I don't know why. Okay. Like I said, unless Wendell was trying to defend Kim, maybe he was trying to get the gun from him. I don't know.
Okay. Did Kim ever say, did you ever hear about what happened to her arm or if that ain't?
No, because I didn't get a chance to talk to her this morning. When I got up and left, she went home, or I went home. I talked to her a few minutes on the phone. Oh, she did go to ER. I'm sorry, I'm shook up. She said that she didn't tell me what they said was wrong with her arm, but they had given her some medication for it, and she was really sleepy, and she was going to go back to sleep, and she would call me later.
What time was
that?
She
never called. I could probably look at my phone.
Okay.
But they bicker all the time. Wendell and I have gotten in my truck and left several times because they were bickering and we didn't want to hear it.
I don't blame you.
He's the first good guy I've met. I don't know when. That's ridiculous.
I know.
And I don't know Ashley's number. I didn't talk to Chad unless I had to because,
Yeah.
And I just started getting to know Ashley, the pregnant daughter. She just moved in like 4 or 5 days ago.
Where would she be? Do you know?
She might be at her grandmother's, and all I know is that her grandmother lives over by Chaser somewhere.
Okay.
You might find her on Facebook. Her last name is Boswell as well. And I don't know if she knows anything about what went on because, like I said, I don't have her number. She moved in so her mother could help her with the baby because it's her first baby and the daddy works out of town.
Okay.
That was when I was calling it, but I was dialed the wrong area code. But it was this afternoon when I talked to her the first time, but you can look on here and see where I was trying to contact them to find out what was going on. And you can look in there and see that I was talking to Wendell for 7 minutes and 39 seconds. I called him at 8 o'clock. Wolf left his house at 8:30.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Do you know if Wendell suffered?
I don't know, darling. I can't tell you that.
He was such a good man.
I'll be honest with you, I don't really know any details whatsoever.
It really sucks because I met him a long time ago. And the timing was bad. And somebody told me to back off because they were together or whatever. And instead of talking to Wendell, I listened to her. So I missed out on all that.
It's okay. But what you have to remember is that you did have some good time with him, okay? You can't live off
If I
your
would have
regret.
got with him sooner, we could have been living together and he wouldn't have been there. It's my fault.
You cannot live off regret, okay?
So, from Sherry's interview, there's 2 major key points. Number 1, Sherry is telling us that Chad was very, very abusive. Janice said it was Kim. Sherry, who was probably in the house more than Janice, said Chad was the main abuser. I guess that leaves food for thought. Given both their predicaments with their addictions, they probably abused each other. But also, on the night in question, when they were out, Janice turns up and is sitting there while Chad and Kim are opposite. That's obviously a very awkward situation. Either way, Chad shot them both in a violent rage. Either way, Chad shot Kim and then he shot Wendell, and he was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. If you keep watching this video now, I've got some of the crime scene photos so you can have a visual image of what happened. I did not display the crime scene photos throughout the video because I actually found the story so compelling I didn't want to distract you. So comment, tell me what you think.